So, in the last few conversations we've had, I think we've cracked the door towards developing a tighter relationship. I've opened up about being a certified overthinker at times, which allowed us to have a real and honest conversation. Now, to add to that, we've also talked about building habits and systems and goals here on the channel that truly supports our core, who we are, what we value, and what we're striving to achieve. If you remember, I did a pretty cool water trick visual and used it as a metaphor for how these things affect our lives. See, the reason I'm bringing these conversations full circle again is because I want to share with you how I'm managing and organizing the different pieces of my life in a way that's changing the game for me mentally. It's keeping the overthinker and me at bay, and to be honest, depending on the day, I'm extremely grateful for that. Now, this video is sponsored by Notion, which is an all-in-one workspace for every piece of your life. And let me tell you, the moment I discovered this app, I lit up like a little kid on Christmas Day. I mean, look at me. I'm sure you can feel my heartbeat through the screen right now because this is truly helping me. Let me show you why. Okay, so I'm going to structure this conversation in a pretty interesting way. And what I mean by that is I'm first going to highlight what I believe is one of, if not the key reason why it's important that we have organization in our lives, as well as a system to help us manage all of the moving pieces. Now, yes, we're traveling this journey together towards intentional and purposeful living, but sometimes life is life, and it can be hectic and overwhelming at times. But it can be managed with the right system in place. Now, as we start to talk through these ideas together, I'm also going to show you how I'm personally doing this in my life using Notion. And really quick, if you don't know who Notion is, or if you're only the slightest bit familiar with them, they're an all-in-one workspace, like I mentioned, that is changing the game. I'm talking note-taking, journaling, task tracking, habit building, goal setting, project managing, everything, right? And the thing that makes Notion stand out to me is the fact that you can set up and organize your workspace in a way that works for you. Like, you can truly mold Notion to fit your life and work however you want. And here's the kicker. It's 100% free for personal use. So there's no real excuse not to get organized and manage the moving pieces in your life. Now, if you want to sign up and start laying out your workspace while I'm showing you parts of mine and talking through these ideas, then you can do that by using the link in the description below. All right. Now, the idea that I want to highlight and throw out there to you is the importance of having and creating structure in life. Now, out the gate, this can mean a few different things, right? However, to me, this is all about building focus and developing a sense of direction. See, without structure in our lives, whether it's family life, our personal lives with individuals, our career in a professional sense, without that structure, the ability to focus on what matters and then develop a sense of direction, without that, we'll just end up distracted by everything, extremely unproductive, and then running around like a chicken with his head cut off. But see, if we create structure in our lives, now we have the opportunity to sort through and focus on what matters, and then question the things that we aren't 100% set on. Asking ourselves, how important is this? And is this the right place to devote my attention? Now, an example of how I'm doing this in my life using Notion is through my to-do list. Now, I'm sure you use some form of a to-do list in your life as well. Maybe you write things down on a piece of paper, or you text yourself reminders, or maybe you're really old school and you have a calendar hanging on your wall that you pencil things in on as well. However, Notion is really taking this idea of a to-do list to the next level. Let me show you why. So if we take a look at my Notion workspace, I have a page here, or a dashboard, if you will, that I've titled the Action Zone, which is my to-do list, the space in which I take action on the things I need to get done on any specific day. However, I've structured this in a way that really drives home the overarching ideas we're talking about here: creating structure, building focus, and developing a sense of direction. Now, why is this? 2 reasons: the way it's laid out and how it functions. First, I have a few toggles here that I've created. I have one listed for today. I have one for tomorrow, one for upcoming, which is anything that is scheduled within 1 week of today. I have a future dated. I have one for projects, anything that I'm working on currently. I have a few reminders for myself, and then a calendar view of my to-do list as well. Now, within each of these toggles, I have a database, or a table of information that I'm using to show my to-do list. Now, Notion has this really cool feature where you can create tables or databases of information and then link to and view that information in multiple different ways across multiple different pages in your workspace. Now, that in itself is really powerful, but the really cool piece in this is the fact that I've created filters for these tables, so that way they only show me the information that I want to see when I want to see it. So for example, I created a filter for this table here in my today toggle that is filtered to only show me items that have a due date that is on or before today, and then also have a done box that is not checked. Now, this date here is the other really important piece in this, and it's also part of the reason why this system is changing the game for me mentally. And that's because this date allows me to schedule my to-do items for a specific to-do date, the day I'm planning to do it. And I can schedule this as far out in the future as I want. Now, this date, in combination with the filters I created, is making this entire page fully automated with no extra help from me. Mind blown, right? All I have to do is add new items to this list whenever there's something I know I need to get done, and then I'll set it for a specific to-do date, and that's it. And then when I wake up in the morning and go through my routine and then sit down and look at this page, this first table is always going to show me everything that I need to get done for that specific day, and that's it. Now, I don't have to waste time trying to figure out what I need to do because this is automatically updating for me every time I input new information. Now, the only reason I'm able to see these other toggles here is for the sole purpose of visibility, in case I need to pull something forward or push something back and reschedule it for a later date. That's it. See, without structure like this, the overthinker in me would kick in almost immediately and start getting in the way of my productivity. It's happened more often than I would like to admit. However, this due date driven to-do list is really helping me to manage the moving pieces in my life. Like my entire content creation process is linked to this table as well. So every time I have a new video or podcast or newsletter or private podcast for my Patreon community, the next thing that I need to get done for that piece of content shows up here, which helps me constantly create content on a consistent basis. Say that 10 times in a row. Now, there is another piece to this that I want to quickly share with you that I think you'll also receive value from, and that is my brain dump exercise. See, I strongly believe that if you want to build focus and create structure, you have to have a clear mind first. Now, I recently shared a video talking about overthinking, and in that video, I shared a brain dump exercise that I do periodically whenever I feel myself starting to overthink too much to the point that my mind feels crowded and clouded. So if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you check it out. But really quick, here's how that brain dump exercise is set up. So because you can also take notes in Notion, among other things, I have a notes-taking dashboard that is linked to this notes and ideas table right here on my Action Zone page. So if I click this new button, I can open up a new note, and we can open that as a page as well. Now, it's important to mention that every time you create a new page or workspace in Notion, it's always going to start off as a blank page. And really quick, you can do that in the menu right here on the left-hand side. Just click the plus button next to workspace, and that's going to open up a blank page similar to the blank note we just created a few seconds ago. Now, the cool thing about starting off with a blank page or a blank workspace is that you can literally set this up however you want, and there are a handful of options you can choose from. You can just click and start typing away. You can create a database of information by choosing one of the views listed. You can even pick from a list of templates Notion offers to help you get started regardless of what you're trying to create. I mean, if you want, you can embed images or videos, tweets from Twitter, Google Maps, just about anything. It's crazy the flexibility you have with this. But the feature I really like is the fact that you can create your own custom template and then use it in your workspace whenever you need it. That's something I did specifically for my brain dump exercise. Now, if we jump back over to the blank note we created earlier, we have the option to give it a name. In this case, this is a brain dump, so we'll name it brain dump. Now we can also pick an icon or an emoji for it. So let's pick a brain for that. And then we can pick a cover image as well if we would like. So let's look for a pretty cool cover image. Let's look for a brain. Ooh, that's cool. I like it. Now, when we scroll down to the workspace, you will see that I have a brain dump template that I created. So if we click that, it's going to populate the brain dump template that I created for this exercise. So on the left-hand side here, I have a space to just dump all of the things I've been overthinking, right? Everything my mind has been holding on to, I can spill it here. And then on the right-hand side, I have a space to sort and organize through those thoughts. Now, I talked about this exercise in more detail in the video I did about overthinking, so definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. But as a quick gift from me to you, I'm actually going to make this template available publicly. And what that means is once you create your own workspace in Notion, you can duplicate this page into your workspace and start using it in your life and workflow. So if you're interested, if you want it, there will be a link down below for you to duplicate that as well. See, being able to lay out everything that I'm working on in one workspace like this and have the flexibility to view it and interact with it however I want is powerful and is changing the game for me mentally. I mean, I'm also using Notion to track my health and fitness. And one of these days, I'll actually walk you through my training routine and show you exactly how I'm doing that, as well as how I'm being intentional with the way I exercise my body. Now, if I share something in this video that you found interesting, comment below so we can talk about that. Also, if you plan to duplicate my brain dump exercise, I'd love to know how it's working out for you. So comment below so we can talk about that as well. Always remember to stay true to you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.